This segment that you're watching right here is part of the new map Unlock Progress within Far Cry 5. You're liberating a very small section of Hope County, just trying to drive the cult out of this little village here. Ubisoft have done away with the towers in this game, thank goodness, and they finally focused it on the game's specific locations. Now, previous titles within the Far Cry franchise, they would require you to find various towers on the map, then you'd have to fight bad guys around it, work your way up to the top, and then switch the tower's allegiance over to you and the rebellion in the game, and that would unlock more of the map and more missions for you to go and complete. That's not happening anymore. This time around, you're free to roam the map in any way you like, and you can liberate Hope County bit by bit, completing missions, liberating small villages off the cuff, and progressing the storyline. Now, while this isn't a totally revolutionary way to progress through the open world, it does feel a little bit more natural than previous titles. We were so reliant on the towers in Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 4, it kind of became a little bit of a running joke in the community. Ubisoft have also removed the mini-map from this game as well, and they've replaced it with this compass at the top of the screen, and that's filled with the icons that used to be on the mini-map. That change might seem a little bit more confusing, but again it feels more natural. Rather than setting store by what the map is telling you all of the time, it highlighted all of the enemies for you, showing their exact locations and showed exact locations of collectibles and new missions. You've got to use a little bit more knowledge of the map and the area that you're in to know what's going on. The game isn't going to baby you through all of the missions anymore. The radial compass is a nice implementation, but it did feel a little bit cramped when lots of enemies were being displayed on it, and without a proper key, I found it a little bit difficult, at least at first, to understand what some of those icons actually meant. The Ubisoft developer did explain them to me when I got a little bit lost looking for the next stage of an objective of a mission, and it would have helped if I could have done like the tutorial so I knew what the key was. I could work out most of it, but because the minimap wasn't there, I kept looking for it, and it took me a little bit of a while to adjust. I think it's a good move that they've taken it out. It feels more natural, but I think it's going to take people a little bit of time to get used to it. Now, another new feature that you guys might find interesting, I found it very entertaining whilst playing, is Boomer. He's one of 3 guns for hire that you can choose for different missions, and Boomer is your friendly, or as the case might be, not so friendly, faithful companion in Hope County. Now, he's a dog, obviously, and he has his own set of abilities that are very distinct and different from the other 2 guns for hire. You've got Nick Rye and Grace. Now, Boomer, being a dog, he's fairly loyal to you. So you can send him into an attack mode against some of the enemies. You sort of mark them, and he will run up to them and start chowing down on them. You can ask him to follow you or simply wander into an area, and he will attract a bit of the attention of the enemies that you're going to try and kill, and he can even take on wild animals for you. Far Cry 5, of course, has plenty of beasts out there for you to slay, and Boomer is more than happy to go into a battle with a bear if you ask him to. But undoubtedly, Boomer's best ability is one of the mind. He knows, without you even asking him, that you're going to run out of ammo in your weapon, and he's going to go and find you another weapon and then bring it to you and put it on the ground in front of you so that you can pick it up and carry on shooting people. You've always got more bullets to fire. A very clever pooch. As I mentioned, you have 2 other options as well. You've got Grace, and she specialises in sniping. She's basically a markswoman. She'll sit from afar and take out targets that you mark for her, potentially whilst you go in close range, maybe with a shotgun or an SMG, and kill loads of the cultists. And then you've got Nick Rye, and he is a plane fanatic who's decided to add a minigun and bombing projectiles to his seaplane, as you do. He'll circle the area that you're fighting in once you call him in, and then you can mark out targets that he'll strafe either with his minigun, or he will just drop massive bombs on things. You can see it going off in the background a couple of times. He's essentially the all guns blazing option. There's no chill with Nick, so if you want to just blast in, get the job done on certain missions, he is your better option. Boomer sits somewhere in the middle between Grace and Nick, and from the demo that I played, I chose to play with Boomer twice, and then I played with Nick once. I managed to complete the demo quite a few times in the 45 minutes that I had, but the options there, you can choose whichever one you want to do, and Ubisoft didn't say if there were going to be any more guns for hire in the future, but these were the 3 that were available in the demo. Now, unfortunately, because this is B-roll footage, perhaps some of the best stuff in Far Cry 5 that you will want to know about beyond what Ubisoft have told you isn't available in this B-roll. So I'm going to tell you about some of the things that most other people won't be reporting because they don't have access or haven't played the demo yet. I've got a list here. We've got fishing, plane combat, and just pure open world exploration. So we're going to start with fishing. The developers have made it into a full-blown mini-game in Far Cry 5. There are certain points scattered across the world map where you can walk up to it and there'll be like a small hut there, or there'll be somebody else fishing, and then you can pick up a spare fishing rod and just start fishing if you want to. You get to use the triggers on the controller, and then you cast the line out and then move it around in the water, and you wait for one of the fishes to bite. Then you need to hook it on and gently reel the thing in. If you reel it in too fast, you're going to break the line or the fish is going to escape and you're going to have to cast back in again. So you reel it in and then you let the line out a little bit, reel it back in and let it back out again. And when you think you've got the right amount of slack in the line or you think it's tight enough, you can bring it in close to you and then pull it out of the water, and you will have caught one of the fish. Now, there are lots of different types of fish in the game, and I'm assuming different ones in different locations. I only played for a few minutes because I wanted to play the plane mission that came up afterwards, and you're told how much your fish weighs. I think mine weighed about 24 pounds, something like that. And that leads me to think there might be some leaderboards involved. Although I didn't ask the developers if that's the case, so don't quote me on it, but that could be a cool little leaderboard in the game that you could maybe compete with your friends to see who's caught the biggest fish. Next up, we have the flying of planes. Now, there's at least one mission in the game where you'll get to pilot a plane, which I think is a first for the Far Cry franchise. You get to borrow Nick Rye's weaponized seaplane and attempt to bomb some silos that are thought to be storing supplies that the cult are using to take over Hope County. Now, while the combat didn't feel particularly challenging, this is a fairly casual game after all, you did get to enter a dogfighting section against a cultist plane who's come out to stop you. And I'm guessing that depending on the difficulty that you decide to play on, there will be more or less of these planes to fight with. Now, it did seem very cool because Far Cry hasn't really taken to the skies before. I mean, I guess in Far Cry 4 you could say those little helicopters, I don't really know what they were, but they were like microlight helicopters, really small, not really a helicopter. That's about the only time you get into the sky apart from the wingsuit, which is making a comeback in Far Cry 5. The wingsuit was confirmed by Dan Hay, he's the executive producer on Far Cry 5, in an interview, and rather than it just being an item that you can pick up and then throw away again, they've built it into the story. You get to meet this legendary stuntman who lives in Hope County, and you'll unlock different items paying homage to his career as you do stunts in the world, so there's more than just a wingsuit coming when it comes to awesome things that you can do in this game.